Imagine this. It's a sunny weekend and you decide to go on a road trip with your new electric car. You drive off with your family, blasting music and enjoying the views on the back roads when suddenly it hits you. You don't know where the next charging station is, and you start feeling anxious about the remaining range on your car. The only thing you can think of is reaching the next stop without running out of juice. You try not to think about it, but it's in the back of your mind the whole time. The anxiety goes away as soon as you see the first charging station, and you are ready to continue your trip. This is exactly how a lot of people feel when they first get their electric vehicle. Driving on a long distances in a brand new Tesla and trying to reach the next charging station before the fuel runs out is kind of unsettling. That's what we call range anxiety, and it is only one of the problems that electric vehicle owners face. In this video, we will look at all the potential issues with owning an electric car and why it may be too soon for the world to go all electric. Let's begin. Introduced more than 100 years ago, electric cars are seeing a rise in popularity today for many of the same reasons they were first popular. Whether it's a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or all-electric, the demand for electric drive vehicles will continue to climb as prices drop and consumers look for ways to save money at the pump. Countries like Norway, Iceland, Sweden, and China are the ones with the highest percentage of EV sales in the world, and many more countries are planning to go all electric in the near future. This sounds amazing, but let's look at the potential issues with electric vehicles. One of the reasons for this push towards electric energy is to tackle the problem of climate change. At first glance, it seems like a logical thing to do, but on close examination, we can see that things are not exactly as you may think. Broadly speaking, most electric vehicles sold today tend to produce significantly fewer planet-warming emissions than any car fueled by gasoline. However, we must consider how the electricity for those vehicles is produced. As we all know, a big portion of the energy required for the EVs to run is produced by burning coal. If we take a city like Pittsburgh, for example, and consider that a lot of electric vehicles are being plugged in at night, this will lead to nearby coal plants burning more and more coal to charge them. This means that the climate benefits would be reduced or even worsened, leading to more air pollution. In order to deal with this issue, we need to make electric grids more carbon efficient. Doing this will ensure that the vehicle's emissions will go way down. Another issue that doesn't get the attention it deserves is how the raw materials to make the batteries are sourced. Like many other batteries, the lithium-ion cells that power most electric vehicles rely on raw materials, like cobalt, lithium, and rare earth elements, that have been linked to grave environmental and human rights concerns, with cobalt being the most problematic. Mining cobalt produces hazardous tailings and slags that can leach into the environment, and studies have found high exposure in nearby communities, especially among children, to cobalt and other metals. Extracting the metals from their ores also requires a process called smelting, which can emit sulfur oxide and other harmful air pollution. Another disturbing fact is that 70% of the world's cobalt supply is mined in the Democratic Republic of Congo in unregulated artisanal mines, where workers, including many children, dig the metal from the earth using only hand tools. This poses a great threat to their health and safety, human rights groups warn. Lithium, on the other hand, is either mined in Australia or from salt flats in the Andean regions of Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. The operations use large amounts of groundwater to pump out the brines, drawing down the water available to indigenous farmers and herders. A great amount of water is required for producing the batteries, which means that at this point, manufacturing electric vehicles is about 50% more water-intensive than traditional internal combustion engines, as stated in the New York Times paper on electric vehicles. I'll leave a link to that in the description. On a personal note, owning an EV has its pros and cons. Some of the pros are lower maintenance needs. A traditional internal combustion engine has a lot of moving parts like pumps and valves, along with fluids that need changing. Because electric cars don't have as many components that need replacing, less maintenance and less trips to the auto repair store are necessary. With electric cars, you also get high-quality performance. Because there is no exhaust system, EVs are known for operating smoothly and quietly in comparison to the traditional gas cars. Electric motors also tend to react much quicker than mechanical engines, providing more torque and agility while driving. Needless to mention the difference in charging prices versus refueling, as EVs are much cheaper in terms of cost per mile, whether you charge at home or at public charging stations. Although electric cars have more than their share of advantages, it's worth noting that they are not without their drawbacks. If you recall the story from the beginning of the video, finding charging stations can be challenging at the moment. Even though you can charge your EV at home, finding a charging station while driving through rural areas or on long trips can be a challenge. More areas are embracing EV charging stations, but we are not quite there yet. Even so, charging can take a while. Adding gas to the fuel tank doesn't take more than 5 minutes, whereas recharging an electric car can take some time to do, especially if the battery is fully depleted. Other issues which EV owners might face are the initial cost, which can be a bit high in comparison to a traditional gas car and eventual replacement of the battery. Although the cost for that has dropped in the last couple of years, research has shown serious gaps in the areas of battery technology, charging infrastructure, and policy frameworks to support the uptake of EVs. However, the R&D studies should continue to focus on improving battery technology to continue to decrease the cost of EVs. In addition, increased investment in the recycling and reuse of EV batteries is necessary to reduce waste and the environmental impact of electric vehicles. Now, to wrap things up, a lot of you may ask the question, is owning an electric vehicle right for me? Well, it all depends on what you are looking for in a car. If you need a car for a short daily commute and want to reduce the amount of fossil fuel dependence in your life, get an EV. You can also battle climate change and save money at the same time by adding solar panels to your home or office building, which would further complement an emissions-free lifestyle. One great way to compare the climate impacts of different vehicles is with a tool called the Carbon Counter, released by researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, who tried to incorporate all the relevant factors in understanding the real impacts of EVs. The emissions from manufacturing the cars, the emissions from producing gasoline and diesel fuel, how much gasoline conventional cars burn, where the electricity to charge electric vehicles comes from. I will leave a link to that in the description, so you can have a look at it and play around to find out which vehicles are truly most effective in their goal of reducing emissions. The topic of the electricity grid and where our energy comes from is one that we will explore further and deeper to find out what are the wicked problems lurking there and what can be done to solve them. Thank you for watching the video. If you find the information useful, please leave a like and share with your friends as it helps the channel grow. For more breakdowns of wicked problems, feel free to follow the channel. See you next time.